Hi, it's a pleasure to be here. My first time in Vietnam, and I'm expecting myself to be seeing all kinds of interesting things already, especially in the smart city front, which I believe Vietnam is one of the countries that's doing really well in many ways. So my talk today will center around the idea of people-centered smart cities, which you probably have learned from my colleagues, Casey, already, what it is and what kind of things that we are trying to achieve in Thailand. And in fact, we have done pretty well. I actually haven't been back to Thailand for the past few months. In fact, I've been traveling from country to country because there's so many countries around the world, including cities, would like to learn what we have done right and of course what we have done wrong, so that they don't have to make the same mistakes, so that they can probably collaborate and learn with us and from us. So I title my talk today, Building Peoples for Smart Cities, because I believe in that. When you want to build cities, you have to start with the people and work backward to the solutions. Some of the innovations we see today, true, is a result of innovators coming up with great ideas, and then they try to push the idea to the people. They try to force it to the hand of the customers. Sometimes it works, but most of the time it doesn't work. The reason for it is because when you don't have the real demand to begin with, and you try to force what you have invented into the hand of consumers, you risk wasting a lot of money as a result, because without demand it's very hard to prove whether or not your innovations or ideas can flourish. So for what we have done so far, starting with a very basic, I would say, confessions. So when I started to work as a smart city expert around 5 years ago, I thought naively that if you have the money and if you have the good intention, you can build smart cities. I thought those two components are the most important elements of smart city building, and boy, was I so wrong. I designed so many projects with good intention, of course, and good funding, and many of them failed in my home country of Thailand. And then I started to look around the world, and I realized that many cities and many countries are facing the same problem. These cases are cases whereby cities and countries have good intention. Of course, they want to create cities that are livable for people to live in, so they can invest, so they can actually push more economic transactions. But turns out the funding goes into the wrong pot, it goes into the wrong place, and you get a lot of results that are not as you expected. So in some cases you see in this picture here, I'm not going to throw stones. I did that a few times and I got a lot of hate mails, just kidding. So what you see here is that lots of cities that you see in this picture, they are trying really hard to push technology to be at the core of the smart city programs. But turns out when you have, for instance, a smart poles that can send out 5G signals, in the city where most of the people only have 3G phones, what's good is going to be for those 5G poles? Or in some cases, you wanted to get people to get off their cars and on their bikes so that they can ride a bike to work. That would cut down emissions and so on. But people are living in a city that is very hot and humid, and most of them are actually working in the financial sector whereby they have to wear suits and ties to work. So that mismatch between what you expected people to do and what people actually do was a result of these failures. Or in some cases, you have lots of money and good intention to build a new city for the people, but it turns out people were already happy with the existing city. What are you going to do when nobody moves into your city? When people don't move into your city, businesses also don't want to move in because there's no customers. When customers don't move in, there would actually be no people want to move in either, because there would be no services for them. So this vicious circle continues, and therefore you got a ghost town as a result. So when I realized that I was wrong, I flipped the script right away. And one of the things that I realized for all these years that I tried to redo the whole invention of the smart city program was that there's one problem that is persisting and permeating throughout the cases that I just talked to you about. And that is the well-intentioned parents' problems. So in this picture, parents are like cities, right? The parents are good intention. The parents are very happy to buy this toy for the kids, in this case, citizens. And the parents, of course, they have the funding, that's why they can buy the toy for the kids. But the kids are not receiving what the parents are trying to give. The value isn't the same because the perspectives are very different. The parents think 5G is good for the kids looking at it from above and say, I don't even know what 5G is. The parents think a new city would be great for the kids. The kids said, why do we need new cities, Dad? I love the old cities already because it's so culturally diverse. So when you have this mismatch between perspectives, all you're going to get as a result is the kinds of cities that I just mentioned to you that are well-intentioned and well-funded, but are not very good in terms of serving the people. So The principles that Thailand has been using for the past few years, ever since I became the senior expert, are threefold. The first one has to do with the idea of citizen centricity, which means that smart cities are not technocentric. Smart cities are not a playground or showcase for who has the most advanced technology. Smart cities are not places where you want to show to the world that you have more cameras than anyone else, or places you have more operation centers than any other cities. Smart city is all about the people. So one city that I really like uses this concept. If you look at this diagram and you look at what happened in the cities, you see people having a good time, and robots and computerizations and all the AI is actually working in the corner over there. And this is the kind of thing that we want in our smart cities. The technology works in the background, works in the corner. You don't have to see drones fly the sky. You don't have to see robots walk the streets in order to feel as though you are living in a technologically smart place. You just have to live a good life. You just have to have more time in your hand, more clean air that you can breathe, and of course more clean water you can consume. That is the meaning of the city that we wanted to create. So a place that I really like is called Aspern. This is one of them. There are many good cities around the world, but this city is quite new in Austria. And the picture that you are seeing right now is a representative of what I just talked about, which is the idea that the city itself is actually very advanced technologically. There's so many IoT sensors, and there are so many great services that are digitalized behind the scene. But what you see in this picture is actually two kids having a good time. Why? Because the IoT sensors that work with the traffic lights work so well, their parents got home 1 hour earlier. So these two kids are not ending up in a car, in the congested roads, and then having to overhearing their parents fighting on the road because of traffic congestion. They are able to get home, play in the green spaces, and have a good time without having to worry about congestions and carbon emissions. This is the kind of thing that we talk about when we talk about smart city. A place that the result of technology serves the purpose of people living a better life, having more time on your hand, and able to put your labor into good use so that you can be more productive, more effective, and of course, more meaningful into your livelihood. I said that because I lived there for a while, and then I realized that even one day, I even left my phone at home, and I just want to test whether or not I could live in the city without carrying my phones around. Because many smart cities argue that you can be smart if you have smartphones. You can use smartphones and everything. But these cities that I just showed you, you don't even need a phone at all. You just have to live your life the way you want it to be. And everything in the background works on your behalf already. Whenever there is a lot of dust in the construction sites, you get people coming to inform you that you shouldn't be going to that area because there are too many of the aerosol in airborne. And so you can actually prevent yourself from getting a cardiovascular disease as a result. Waste management is there. The protocol for people to work, live, learn, and play is also there, and you are able to live your life in a good way. So I like this type of city because it put people first and it put people at the core of the operations. So in Thailand, we are doing quite a similar thing. We don't start by telling cities what to do or what to become. In fact, we started by asking the cities to work with us in trying to understand this very concept of smart city that put people at the core. And then we work with the cities in terms of incubating their plans, and the plans have to come from them. We try to overcome the hurdles of smart city, whether it be stakeholders, conflicts, whether that be inclusivity, whether that be regulatory framework, whether that be the kinds of the economy of scale that we try to push, or whether that be procurement. We try to solve these problems with the cities when we are working with the cities. And once the plans are more mature, the plans get sent to us DEPA in the middle. And that's when we started to actually work with other ministries in order to bring in privileges and bring in all the incentives to make smart cities workable and bankable for the cities themselves as well as the private sectors. And once the plans are more mature than the revised version, it got sent to the National Steering Committee, which consists of all the important ministries combined. And the National Steering Committee is the one who endorsed all the bigger, larger, and more regulatory adaptive incentives for the cities to grow and to thrive. So we believe that this is a pretty good well-structured protocol for a city to think for themselves what kinds of things that they wanted to do for their people and what kinds of things that we can help them thrive in order to make it smart cities for the citizens of these cities rather than what we push or what we work in order to get them to think that that's what they want. So the second principles have to do with the 4P. I think public-private partnership is great, but it only talks about the supply side. Right? You have the public working with the private in order to supply solutions. The people is about the demand side. when you have the real demand, you can actually work on the supply economy in order to find a way to invent a logistical value chain in order to give the demand the right thing that they need in order to make economy of scale workable. In this case, we are looking closely at how we actually put the 4 P together, because we believe that when the public, which is very good at many things, the public, like my agency, we are very good at procurement, we're very good at regulation, very good at bureaucracy. I shouldn't be saying that, but we are very good at all these things. But we are not good at technology. The public is good at technology. Technology is a domain that the private sector are very good at. So what I'm trying to say is that you can be a David Beckham, which can be very, very bad at basketball, right? Because that's not what you're very good at. Or you can be Michael Jordan, who is very bad at soccer, because you're not very good at that. What I'm trying to push here is to bring the superpower, put the right player in the right field that they are expert in, that they're very good at. Public is good at trust. The private is good at technology and market mechanism. Let them work together to find the right way to public and private partnering in order to find the right kinds of supply with the right kind of business model, with the right kind of entity in order to find the right solutions for the right causes. And once we do that, we actually see the exponential growth in the services and, of course, the efficacy as well as the efficiency provided to the people. So one case that I want to show you quickly was that in a city in the southern part of Thailand, there's a lot of waste, and we realize that most of the waste are actually one-time use plastic bottle. So we think about installing all the water filtering stations all throughout the city, but turns out that was too expensive because each of the water filter stations would cost around $20,000. So we have to come up with ideas that are cheaper than that. So what we did was quite simple. We created applications so people can find where they can find the restaurants or businesses that have free water filter already, and these water filters can become a places for people can fill their water bottle for free. So instead of investing a lot of money into water filtering stations, we partner up with local businesses who already have clean water to give to their customers. We put them on a map so that they can provide clean water to the citizens. And what are they getting in return? Well, at the end of the year, depending on how much water they give away to the people, we recorded everything on blockchain. And at the end of the year, they get tax incentive, tax discount, tax holiday, and other incentive from the government. And the government also get of course, the carbon emissions got cut down, carbon credits generated, and of course, the city itself have a lot less waste than it has before. So this is a kind of very small project that we did, and we won a hackathon actually in Taiwan a couple months ago because of this very idea that we could actually bring the public into partner with the private, bring the expertise of the two sides and work together with people at the core, and we can achieve the unachievable, which is a project that could actually cut down about 20,000 tons of carbon dioxide per year without having to invest a penny. So this is the kind of thing that we like to do, but we only can do that if we have the data. So smart cities are data-driven, which means that smart cities are not driven by belief. They're not driven by traditional understanding. They're not driven by familiarity. For instance, the other day I was traveling to Bangkok airport. I almost missed my flight because I thought I could just drive to the airport and leave my car there. But turns out I was wrong because there was a graduation event nearby the airport, and therefore it took me 2 hours to get to the airport. I had Google Maps in my hand. Had I looked at my phone just 1 second before I drove the car outside of my house, I would have known that it was a bad idea to drive my car. But I didn't use data. I used my familiarity, I used my biases, I used my belief that I took my car out and then I suffered the consequences. Same, if the cities can think differently, now that they have data are cheaper than ever. Data are easier to collect than ever, easier to analyze than ever. Why don't we use the data as a way to actually harness the power of better decision makings? So I use this slide a lot. This is one of my professors at Harvard. He's a good guy, and he's a guru in everything. Steven Pinker. If you haven't read his book, I recommend all of them. They're really good books. One time, I asked him, if we can change one thing about human beings, and the world will become a better place right away, what would that be? Steven Pinker, he answered me in a very accurate way, a decisive way. He said, well, we should be more believing in data, and the world will become a better place. And I said, why? Because I thought you were going to answer something like, people should be kinder, people should be more sensitive, people should be nicer. I thought that was going to be his answer. But turns out he told me, well, kindness, sensitivity, all these are subjective. Right? What does it mean to be kind? What does it mean to be sensitive? The only thing that is not subjective is data, it's number, statistics. So if people believe more in data, we soon realize is that peace is better than wars. We soon realize is that driving your own car is not better than than using public transport. And doing the many things that we think is good today can be understood and justified with data alone. So that was the key idea that we've been using for many, many years. So I just want to give you one case that we have been using, and we got the World Smart City Expo Award in Korea 2 months ago for this. So in a city in the southern part of Thailand called Nakhon Sitamarat, it flooded every year to the point that the citizens thought that it was a curse because it rained 8 months a year, so it flooded every year. That's natural. So people start to give up and they start to move away from the cities and start to lose talents. So we look at the problems and we start to realize that, well, it flooded every year from 8 years ago. But when you look further, like 9 years ago, it didn't flood. Why was that? So it turns out it didn't flood because since 8 years ago, we have this problem, which is waterways clogging. And these waterways are actually a natural pathway for water to overflow from the upper floor to the lower plain. So when the waterways in the cities are natural overflow get clogged, because people throw stuff in there, garbage in there, of course it's going to flood because there's no way for water to go. And when people try to report the problems, they face the problems of paperful, not paperless, right? They go to the city hall, they file the complaint with that kind of handwriting. The complaint sits on the desk for 6 months before it gets solved. Of course it's going to flood because the problems are there, and those who want to help fix things face the problems of another bug in the system, which is the clogging of the process whereby the paperwork should go into the hand of the city operator to fix the problem. So you have two bottlenecks simultaneously. So what we did was quite simple. We turned this into this. We turned paperful into paperless. We turned the bureaucratic processes of communicating with the city into a seamless processes whereby you just have to download a small little app into your phone, which is a very simple app. Any phone, even 6 years ago, can use, and you can report problems very easily to the city. Once the city see your problems, they'll fix it right away because we gamify the system so that even the workers, even the operators themselves in the cities, get points when they fix problems for the citizens. So we look at the holistic view of problems, solving possibilities. So not just the app that works, but also the kind of processes that we use with it. Gamification is also very important because we enable people, especially the staff, to work harder because once they solve problems on behalf of the citizens, they get stars. And every time they get stars, those stars get collected in their accounts. And at the end of the year, they can look at how many stars they got, and that determines how much they're going to get promoted. So the whole system is not just about software, not just about hardware. We don't actually use much of hardware here. Everything's on the cloud. We use peopleware. Right? The intrinsic ability to drive people to be motivated internally to do things that are right for them and right for the cities and right for the humanity is what we're trying to push as a way of solving problems and make cities smarter. So let's look at this quickly together. So people send problems, right? This set of data is very hard to look at. How do we go fix problems? Well, we know for sure that we're not going to go here to fix problem, right? There's no problems here. So you're not going to send your fleet randomly around here. You're not going to send your fleet randomly around here. You're going to send them to places around here, but where? So we harness the power of data. We accurately collect data, and then we analyze this data. We turn them into visualizable data sets. So yesterday I asked my cousin, who's like 14 years old, hey cousin, if you look at this map and then you look at the colors, the purple one are the one that people reported problem the most, and the yellow one are the one that didn't get a lot of report. So you see from this picture for sure that the purple one are the one that are verified problems. So my cousin, I asked her, if you were to fix problems in the waterways, which problem and where are you going to fix first? You know what? My 14 years old cousin, point to this, right? Point to this, point to this, right? Point to this, point to that. Because when you visualize the data, you get another layer of superpower. The ability to know where it hurts the most, and the ability to know how and why you should be fixing them more, how to prioritize the data, and how to prioritize the problems. And once you do that, the problem in the city gets fixed very easily. And of course, once we gamify the system, all of our officers are going out to fix problems on behalf of the citizens faster than ever. And of course, this is just the beginning. The AIoT system that we use, the A here stands for anthropological, because we use a lot of manpower, workforce in order to help fixing problems. But the next steps, once we actually solve the problem at the first stages, now we don't have flooding anymore. The next one will be to actually take the advancements of what we have already done into an actual artificial intelligence-based IoT, which means that we can decrease the latency of places of the information sending in places that are prone to flooding and prone to water clogging, to how it was sent into the water infrastructure from 10 minutes to 1 second. And once we're able to do that with advanced technology, we can do a lot in terms of streamlining the processes. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I mean by working backward. We start with the people, we try to prototype to solve the problems, and once we know for sure where the problems are, then we work backwards towards the solution. The solution at the beginning could be something as simple as getting people to cloud source their data to us, but the next step could be as advanced as what you see in this picture. So, putting it all together, my final slides here, I think there are 3 lessons to be learned from Thailand. What we have done, what we have failed, what we have achieved, what we have planned to do in the next steps. And of course, we wanted to work with all of you colleagues here, because once we do it together, we don't have to reinvent the wheel every time we come up with something new. The first thing first is about purposeful technology. You don't use technology for technology's sake. You use it because it works. You use it because it actually solves the problem. You start with the pain points, because when you have limited resources and time, you want to make sure that whatever you do works with the problem that you're trying to solve. The second part is about value. A lot of times we visited so many cities that claim they have 100,000 layers of data, but those 100,000 layers of data are similar to the one of the boxes you see on your right-hand side here. The layers of data that are not useful. Right? What we're trying to get here is to look at data that are useful, look at technology that are useful. We don't want to focus on how many things you have, because as I mentioned at the beginning, smart city is not a playground for who has the best technology or most advanced technology. It is taxpayer money, so we have to use it wisely. So value comes before optimization. That's what we try really hard to actually get everybody to have the attitude of. And last but not least, the idea of thinking big is important. Because without thinking big, you can't actually achieve anything. You can only solve problems that comes along, and those problems that come along might be a result of your thinking small. So we want you to think big, but we don't want you to act big right away. Because when you think big and you act big, you usually fail big as a result. Because anything that is big are usually new. When things are new, you don't know the result yet, and you invest a lot of money and you fail big as a result. So think big, but when you act with gradual understandings of prototyping power. Do it bit by bit, try to test the ground, build sandboxes, do proof of concepts, use pilot project as a vehicle towards your better understandings of how problems can be solved, and then with consistency, you can actually get to where you want to be. So at DEPA, we believe in people. We believe that people are very good at many things. First of all, people are very good at collaborating. When we collaborate, we can do less but gain more. We also believe that people believe in data. Why? Because I'm pretty sure we all love gossips, right? Gossips is a kind of data. But I'm talking about data beyond gossips, right? The verified data that comes from the accurate and decisive collections of the processes that we build. Once we have the data, we can make better decisions. And better decisions leads to all kinds of better things that can come along. And last but not least, we believe that people can do a lot of things when we actually put our mind into it. So the idea of thinking big, act small, and prototype along the way. If it's working out, scale it up. If it doesn't work, scale it down. If it doesn't work at all, go back to the drawing board. It's what we can do, because we are agile, flexible, and of course very effective in things that we put our heads and mind to do. So I leave you with that, and hopefully we have our conversation today. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you.